Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, George Masri, and you're listening to the Well Off Podcast, where today I interviewed MaryAnne Gillespie, who is the CEO of Red Apple Coaching and Consulting. She's been on stage with Grant Cardone and many other big speakers. She's a woman of many talents. She completed several Ironman competitions, and she's gone from being homeless to being the CEO of her own business. So on this episode, we talked about where her passion for coaching comes from, how she's able to see potential in others, the power of holding people accountable, and then also having the courage to fire her clients. And then finally, we talked about the most important quality for growth that she sees in some of the people that she works with. I shouldn't have said finally, because there's a lot more that we covered on this episode, and I know you guys are going to love hearing her. She speaks with so much energy. She's a great woman. So hopefully you'll enjoy the episode. And if you do, I ask you to please share it with a family or friend, a family member or a friend that might benefit from hearing the content. It would be great for the growth of this to share the message and to continue to inspire other people. And also, if you could leave us a review on the Apple Podcast platform, that would be greatly appreciated. I appreciate all your support. Thank you so much. And here you go. Welcome to the Well Off Podcast, where the goal is to motivate, inspire, and share success principles. I am here with MaryAnne Gillespie. MaryAnne, thank you so much. I know you said you had a bunch of calls prior to this podcast, so thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm nice and warmed up. So hopefully your listeners brought, if they're half asleep right now, they're going to be very awake very soon.
Awesome. You always bring the energy. So I like to start off by asking you a bit about your childhood. Tell me about where you grew up and maybe a couple things you remember.
So let's see. I grew up in Montreal. So my family immigrated from Poland. And so we grew up in Montreal predominantly my entire childhood, basically. And just some things to remember is that I was a tomboy. So hard to believe right now, because now I'm like all about pretty dresses and lipstick and nails and everything. So I grew up as a tomboy, almost my entire childhood. And truth be told, I went to a school that was run by nuns, and it was a total school by nuns. And the funny thing is we got in massive trouble if we ever swore. In massive trouble. I'll tell you, like really, really was not condoned. And the ironic part is that the minute I grew up old enough to swear on my own as an adult, I probably have the worst mouth of anybody you'll ever meet. So I strongly recommend, if you have children and you're listening to this, let them swear, because it all comes out later if you don't.
Yeah.
Let them be free.
I saw that in your the bio that your team sent. There is a curse word in there. So I know you like it.
I do. It's terrible, but I blame it all on my parents, who sent me to a school with nuns in it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can understand how, if you're not allowed to do something, you're going to want to do it later on. So tell me a little bit about what your life looks like today.
Yeah, my life looks like today. So I'm one of the top business coaches in Canada, United States. And predominantly we focus a lot with realtors, investors, business owners. Which is awesome. So I have a great coaching team, amazing group of people. I focus predominantly on the elite. So the top 10% of, CEOs, business owners, whatnot. We are incredibly passionate with that. So my goal is to really change the coaching industry. So we're doing things that what I like to do personally is trailblaze. So we usually build, I would say, anywhere from about 200 to 300 new millionaires every year, which is kind of exciting. So I love that. It gives me a big rush, but most of our clients have a bigger vision. It's not just about money. We try to really be selective of who we take on board. And we try to work with people who want to make a difference in the world, who either have passion projects or, things that they're more not consumed so much about the income as a greed factor. They're interested in the income to make a difference, either in what they give out to the world, or they're changing the world or the concepts. And I think that that's a passionate thing that we love. We're also equally, I'm opening up Girl Abundance in 2022, which is it's already open, but we're actually doing the launch in 2022, where we're going to be building entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, in one of our newest programs, which is great, led by females, incorporating females, and predominantly focusing on young women who come from maybe communities and areas where they just generally don't have a lot of support or advice or mentorship, but they have brilliant ideas. And I learned that when I went to Egypt about right before COVID, I was in Egypt and I went by myself to, just experience the culture, and speaking to so many women and young girls there who had these brilliant dreams. I mean, incredible ideas. And then they just don't have support. So we're going to be doing that in 2022, which is exciting. And then personally speaking, as my bio says, I am an Ironman athlete. So I'm in off season right now. However, I just finished my second Ironman in 6 months, and I love it. It's amazing. And I do it for fun. I absolutely, because it's such a challenge. I love it.
Yeah, well, you just touched on a couple things. The first thing you mentioned, well, one of the things you mentioned was going to Egypt. It reminded me, I've got a friend that actually is kind of doing something similar. She is helping women that are living in refugee camps in Lebanon. Wow. She's helping them by providing them with materials from here so that they can knit certain clothing or scarves or purses, stuff like that. And then she sells them on their behalf and provides them with the income so that they can support their family. So it's pretty cool what she's doing.
That's amazing. When we're done, you should connect me with her, because that's just, to see things like that. I mean, they're like entrepreneurs. They're making things. Their income is coming from things that they're actually putting the effort into doing. So it's amazing what we're capable. You can live this world, and I've experienced a lot of things in my life. And one of the things that I learned the most is that very few things. Money is beautiful. It's a great thing to have, but it's also we're capable of doing so much. And Warren Buffett, I think, said it best. Is he said, wealth is, people always say, like, what is wealthy? And wealth is really when you have enough income to support your family and your own passions and desires, and you take whatever's left over and you use it to make other people better off. That's true wealth.
Yeah, 100%. And I know you're very passionate about what you do. So I had a call with you actually yesterday with my business partner, Mary.
That's right.
And my wife is also she's also on our team. So one of the things I told Mary after our call was that I feel like you're truly passionate about helping people grow. You're not just, like we've had coaches where it's kind of like just a job for them. They're good at what they do, but they're not passionate. And where does that passion come from for you? Why is it that you want to help people?
I think I want to help people because it's when you see somebody, there is a, I was explaining this to a coaching client tonight, is they said the same thing. They said, MaryAnne, they're like, you bring so much passion. They're like, it's their first year coaching with me. And excuse me, they said, we just have never felt somebody, and they've had multiple coaches too. And they said, we've just never, like, your energy gives us energy. They're like, it's just crazy. And they said, where does all that come from? They said the same thing as you. And I said, it's the same thing as reverse. When you see something and you see potential in somebody, and because I've lived it, and I know when somebody believes in you, it can be really lonely in the business world, and we can have this inner desire and be like, I know I should be this successful, or I know I should be at this level, or I should be at a different level. And you don't have anybody supporting you or believing in you or doing anything. And it's like, all you need is a coach, to say, let's get you to that point where you can actually say, okay, you know what? You see the potential in one person. So the answer to that question is, when you see the potential in somebody, there's no better feeling as a coach to know that people who are given an opportunity to have massive support and have somebody on their side and have somebody that pushes them outside of their comfort zone. I'm a very tough coach. Everybody says that about me. I'm very tough, but I'm also tough because this is my favorite time of the year. When I look at all of our clients that our company has, and we have a 98% success rate. That's insane. So it's like, when I look at people and I go, 98% of them, and the 2% is usually, just a fluke, like, maybe they set a goal that was insanely high and we missed it by this much, but 98% of our clients hit their targets. There's no better feeling. They're having the time of their lives, and they're changing the world, and they're just happy. And like, we're part of their families, and I'm part of their business. And, and I see what I'm bringing out what they always knew, what they had in them. I've brought it out of them. And now they're standing there, and they're a different person. And when you see one of my clients, Colton, this morning, he said to me, he sent me an email, and it was just a gratitude email after our call this morning. And he started with me I take on smaller clients once a quarter. I'll take one person who's a smaller client on just to see if I can get them where I need to get to. And he started with me at 160,000 was the most he ever made in real estate. And nobody believed in him. Nobody believed in him. And we worked together for 1 year and he's at 500,000. And it's just life changing. How can you not? Like, how can that not, I know what we do works. And I just love bringing it out. I love bringing out the best in people. Awesome.
I can tell that it obviously drives you to bring out the best in others. So if we were to talk about what you would do, you mentioned you see potential in people, but how do you draw that potential out as a coach? What is it that you do to achieve that?
Yeah, that's great. So I have over 19,000 billable coaching hours. And in the coaching field, that's really what you want to look for when you're making a decision, whether it's our company or any company or myself or anybody. You always want to ask, like, how many billable coaching hours do you have? The more billable coaching hours a coach has, the easier it is for them to have, put the dots together where we can see where we need to go faster. So it's actually like the more hours, the faster you can get to where you need to get to. I have a system where, and I think I mentioned it to you guys, you have to establish your goals before you even start coaching with our company. So we work with you on a business plan. When that business plan, we don't tell you where you want to go. You have to bring it out of yourself. You tell us where you want to go. My role is to identify why is that important for you? We really pull that out of our clients before they even enter onto the journey with us. And then what happens is that I am relentless, as is any of my coach. We are relentless with holding accountability. We never give up on you. And we will be willing. We are one of the only coaching companies I know that is okay with firing our clients. And we will let you go if we feel that you started off on a journey with us and you weren't, transparent about it or willing to dig deep and become that person that you always wanted to be. Then we won't continue coaching you. We're okay with losing you as a coaching client and welcome you back when you're ready. But for us, it's really just a matter of, you will never have anybody push harder than we push. And we're confident enough, especially myself, after 19,000 coaching hours and a track record like mine, I am very confident that I know how to get people no matter how big you think, we can get you there.
Awesome. And what quality do you think makes someone an ideal coaching client?
Oh, that's a great question. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. If you're willing to be uncomfortable and willing to be, you're willing to be very uncomfortable and you're willing to go down that uncomfortable path, you should never jump on a coaching call and be like, yippee, this is going to be easy. Or I can't wait to talk to my buddy or my friend or whatever the case is. You should be at a point where your coach is, when your coach will let you go, and they're not attached to the income that you're paying. It's like when they're attached to your growth and your progression, there's a relationship that gets established, and that is a growth relationship. It's a relationship where somebody has said, I know I'm going to feel uncomfortable, but I'm willing to go there. I'm willing to be uncomfortable every single week and watch and know that we're on a journey to get me to where I need to get to, because I have a family or I have this or I have that or I have bigger dreams. So realistically, when people say, am I coachable? I usually just ask them and say, the number one quality we're looking for is, do you think big and are you willing to get uncomfortable? Because it is not an easy journey to get to the top. You have to break barriers, and barriers require you to push through uncomfort.
Oh yeah. And you kind of touched on it. I think a big part of that is having an open mind, because if you're just constantly resisting what your coach is telling you because you're used to doing things a certain way, you're never going to get ahead. You're never going to improve. So being open-minded, pushing yourself, getting uncomfortable, like you said, that's what really helped lead to results.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I know you deal with like real estate agents, you deal with real estate investors. How do you help investors? Are you helping them by creating systems for them to expand their portfolio, or what would be the way that you would approach an investor client?
Yeah. So we work a lot. Last night I was actually I was the guest speaker. I do a lot of speaking engagements to investors as well. So I was speaking to a bunch of investors last night. And one of the things that we do is with investors specifically is we work on what their portfolio should look like. Like you really have to look at why you want to invest in real estate or why you want to become an investor in general. What's your ultimate goal? Is your goal cash flow? Is it not cash flow? Like where do you want to be and what's the purpose? A lot of clients that come to us, they don't have pensions, they're willing, or they want to get out of their job. A majority of people who come to us for coaching are like, look, I want my investment income to be so substantial that eventually I'm actually becoming my own, I'm my own bank to other people. I'm lending money. And so we work with them on different levels. We work with investors who are huge in venture capital, and they want to open up and they want to go bigger. One of our clients is at, I think 500 doors right now. So he's got 500 doors. So a client with 500 doors, now the conversation with that investor is really, do we take all their property management and create a company under them because they are paying a lot in property management, right? So, so those are the things that happen. It depends on the level of investment that we pretty much go, but we run the numbers, we run the portfolio, we come up with a plan and we hold them accountable to it. And then also equally with my experience last night, I was brought in to talk about where the market was going, where we saw things going, and the investors wanted to know where the hottest pockets are. And typically because we're a little bit lucky in the sense that we have so many of the top producing clients in real estate that we get some really good insights to where the markets are going, where the hottest pockets are. So we can give some really good, tips, I guess you could call it, right? So we give that. It's awesome.
Cool. And so as somebody who owns and runs a coaching company, what do you do to make sure that you stay on top of your game? I don't know if you get coached yourself, if you have a coach yourself, but maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's such an amazing question. Every coach should have a coach. I have 5 coaches just in one area. I have 3 coaches for my athletic area. So like my wellness. So I have wellness coaches and trainers and things like that. But in the business aspect, I actually have 5 coaches and I diversify them into different areas. So like my leadership coachings with John Maxwell and, things like that. So for me, I even have a yogi who is a coach to me. And, because I'm such a passionate, high energy person, a yogi actually is one of the smartest people I brought into my circle because that yogi brings me down. He's like, you know what? Just take that energy, funnel it out. And so, because otherwise, I love what I do. So it's kind of one of those things where he just brings my balance down. So I invest over $100,000 a year into personal coaching for myself. And that's the best investment. I don't look at it as an expense. I look at it as an investment. And that's one of the ways that I stay really up to date, but I practice everything I preach. So we were trying a new door knocking script for our coaching clients. And I went out door knocking this weekend and tested it out. And I have a rule where I don't introduce anything to our coaching clients that I haven't tested at least 200 times and with success. So at the end of the day, we work on things and I'm always doing that. So it's not unusual to find me door knocking for 6 hours on a Saturday, testing out some of the hottest door knocking scripts, which are, this time of the year would be CMAs, and seeing what's working, what do consumers want. And we're constantly testing. Myself personally, I read a book every week. I literally I'm jonesing on education. I'm probably the most growth-oriented person. I think it's Brandon Bouchard I have right now. He did a 3-day summit and I've got it uploaded and it's ready to go. And I'm like, done. So I'm always, you will never see me not investing in growth. I'm big on it.
Yeah. And as you say all that, I was actually going to ask you, what does a typical day look like for you?
I can tell you what a typical day looks like. So when I'm in Ironman training, which was actually quite a bit. So we're in off season now. In Ironman training, you're looking at 16 hours of personal exercise per week. So that's 16 hours. And in off season, which is now, you're looking at about 11 hours of it. So we get about 5 extra hours. So I try to do my workouts at about 4:30 in the morning. So I'm up and ready to go around 4:30. 5 a.m. would be late for me. But 4:30 is typically where I'm at. And then on weekends, I'm up at about, I would say like maybe 6 o'clock in the morning to do my workouts. They're usually longer workouts on Saturday and Sunday, so that I'm done around 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. Because I'm swimming, biking, or running. So there's lots of sports with that. This morning, for example, to be on this podcast, I was up doing, I did a duathlon race. So I was literally freezing outside at 5 o'clock in the morning, running as fast as I could, but I loved it. And so my workouts my health and wellness are huge for me. I always meal prep on Sundays. So I'm very diligent. So my meal prep is ready to go. And I'm very, very diligent with that. And then what I do is during the daytime, I run 3 companies. So on certain days like today, I have all my elite clients that I coach today. So I'm back to back in coaching. And then I've got my administration team. So I've got you as well. So I usually do either a podcast or something in my schedule at the very end of my day, and then, grab my dinner. And then depending on, I divide my time. If you've ever heard me talk about it, it's called the entrepreneurial time system. So I segment my days into 3 segments. So on a day that is I have 4, what we call focus days a week. And that's money-making activities all day. And the days are longer, but they're really about building the business in the sales aspect. And then I have a couple 2 buffer days, which are where I'm just the CEO. And they're usually shorter days, but I'm working on the projects and the environment and the administration team and really coaching and developing everybody in-house. And then I always give myself 1 free day a week where I'm nobody. I'm literally just, everything's on auto reply, and it's called a free day. And it's where I get a life and I play, and I'm not anybody. I'm not MaryAnne. I'm nobody. I'm just me doing activities that I love. And I don't check my phone. I don't check my email, and the world doesn't fall apart.
That's so awesome. You know what? I never ever thought of that, but just putting your email on an auto reply and 1 day a week, and that's it.
I go and
so
text.
smart.
It's amazing. I put myself, George, on text message and everything. Like, you can put an auto reply on your cell phones. Doesn't matter what brand you have, you can put an auto reply on there. And, there's always, if you're a single agent or if you're a single person, like, you can always forward your stuff to people. But it's amazing when you set a boundary around your time and you tell people in your world and you say, hey, like, it doesn't even matter if you run a big team or whatever. And you're sitting there just going, oh, I can't take off for a full 24 hours. Yes, you can. You have to get a life. And so the brain, one of my backgrounds is neurosciences, and the brain needs to rest. It needs a chance to just, if you don't give the brain, you got to treat it like a muscle almost. And if it's working every single day and you're never giving it a break to play, then what it does is it starts to think that you're killing it. Like, it's like, when are you ever going to give me a break? And the brain just goes, come on, man, like, I need a rest. And so that's when people get fatigue, or they get irritable, or they get sick, easier, or they do what you call, I need a vacation or a burnout. Every week, you got to give yourself 24 hours to play, go back and have some fun and have no responsibility, and nothing falls apart. Nothing falls apart.
Oh, 100%. And I know this is not exactly what you're saying, but I play chess regularly. So on the days, like I was telling you earlier, we had a baby recently, so I haven't been sleeping well. And on the days where I don't sleep well, I can't play chess. Like, I'm terrible. My brain does not function. So I totally understand what you're saying.
Nailed it.
Yeah. So I know, we touched on a bunch of stuff here, and you're full of life. Like, you're an awesome person. I love the energy that you bring. Is there anything you feel like we should still cover, or should we just move on to the next section?
Move on to the next section. You know what? And then at the end, we'll just kind of, brainstorm around. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, the next section is pretty simple. What services do you provide, and how do people reach you?
Amazing. So I'm personally a business coach. So I coach, people who have really big visions, and people can reach me by coming to Red Apple Coaching anywhere. You can find me, like, I am literally the easiest person to search. You just go Red Apple Coaching, and you can find us everywhere. So we're on Instagram all the time. If people are kind of like, I want to see what she's about, easiest thing to do is just come every Monday. I do a Facebook Live at 12:30, and it's pretty casual. I just kind of give, tips and advice. I think we're talking about, there's a tool that I use with a lot of the teams that I coach called the 1 Year Planner. And I'm going to be talking about it next week. It's the most important tool that you can use if you own a business, or it doesn't matter what business you own, but it's the most important tool that I think would shock people how important it is. And I'm going to teach everybody on Monday at 12:30 on our Facebook Live how to use it, how to implement it. So every Facebook Live at 12:30 on Mondays is like loaded with awesome info. So if you really want to kind of get a good scoop and be like, all right, I want to get a little bit of coaching advice and see what she's all about, you can really find me there. And I think that would probably be the easiest way to get a look, see the energy, kind of hear some of the tips and tricks, and they're brilliant. If I was looking, I'd be there every week. I really would.
Yeah. So I'll be sure to include your information in the show notes. You were awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. And I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
I hope so. Thank you so much for having me. I love it. And I hope we speak soon.
Take care.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Well Off Podcast. If you enjoy the show, then I'd really appreciate if you left us a review on iTunes and let us know your thoughts. In order for us to get a larger audience, it's really important to have reviews, so your support is extremely appreciated. And also, don't forget to share the podcast with your friends and family. Until next time, I'm George Masri. Have a great day.